Hello, my name is Ryan Griffith, and I'm going to talk to you today about time and time warp field technology. Um, the first thing that I like to do when I give a presentation about time is I like to ask the audience, what is time? And most people will describe time as a form of measurement, a linear um, phenomenon that um, only moves in one direction, um, navigating us from life to death. And um, objectively, my speech today is to give information on time travel technology that is relevant today and in today's age, and let you decide on your own whether or not you believe this technology exists. Um, so the definition of time, according to Webster's dictionary, is the measured or measurable period during which an action, process, or condition exists or continues. Um, Time dominates our whole language, our life, our culture. We use it in almost every other sentence, every other day, and but we don't really understand it. Uh, Time is something that appears linear, but is widely misunderstood. And time is something that we set up to clock and measure an unseen medium that has an ever-stopping force like a river. And like I said before, we go from being born and living to one day, being dead. And time is the measurement in which that occurs. We measure our years of existence. We measure our calendar events in a day, our meetings, our schedules, what time we got to be to work, what time we get off work. Everything is set on this measurable scale that we have, as a species, have implemented. Some people say that time, some physicists say that time is a measurement that is caused by the ever-expanding universe, as since the Big Bang, ever since planets and stars and galaxies have formed and move away from each other, inevitably, that is the measurement or the result of what we measure time as. And that's one theory. Some people say that eventually the universe will contract, and at that point time will also retract, and we might go backwards in time. Time control technology is a exciting technology in the field of physics. And basically, Dr. David Lewis Anderson with the Anderson Institute has many technical documents and speeches online and interviews that he's done where he explains his time control technology. And basically what time control is versus time travel is time control is the ability to slow down and speed up time, where time travel is the actual ability to go backwards and forwards throughout time. Benefits of time control versus time travel. With time control, you also have technology called time stasis, where you can actually pause time within a perimeter, a given perimeter. And this is very useful in the medical field. So if this technology ever comes out in mainstream, what you would see is specifically organs transporting from a deceased patient to a patient in need. For instance, a heart or a liver or a lung could be essentially paused in its current time within a perimeter and transported, as long as that perimeter is maintained, that field is maintained, transported to the patient without any degradation in cells or damage to the liver. or the heart or whatever organ it is. So that would be one very beneficial means is in the medical community for time control. Also, you can take flowers and that are fully bloomed and reverse them back into bud. This can save time on germinating vegetation, especially when it comes to oxygen deprivation on the planet. So there's different benefits that we can use there. Time travel could be used to alleviate disasters. We could go back in time and give potential warnings for Hurricane Katrina or Hurricane Harvey and get more people evacuated. We could potentially stop 9/11 and other global and worldwide disasters. Wars could be changed to win in either country's victory, one side or the other. That could be good or bad depending on the outcome and what could have happened. So there's both negative and positive effects. There's also what's called the grandfather experiment, or the grandfather paradox, where if you go back in time and were to kill your grandfather, then obviously one of your parents wouldn't be born, and then neither would you. So there is potential for paradoxes like that to exist, possibly, and it could be that, along with the butterfly effect, ripples throughout of time that could have occurred from you changing it, could be possibly good or bad. So there's definitely precautions that need to be taken. But basically, Dr. David Lewis Anderson has created what he calls a time warp field generator, and he is currently on his third revision. And basically what it is it's a system that has the ability within a small rotating field, spherical field, to accelerate or decelerate the rate at which time moves inside that field as compared to anything on the outside of that field. And if you listen to some of his different videos and go over some of his website and research, this uses a energy that's caused from the Earth, just being a mass within space, especially a rotating mass. There is what's called frame dragging, and frame dragging it is essentially an effect on space-time that Einstein predicted in his general theory of relativity, and NASA has confirmed. They put gyroscopes up into space and measured for a length of time, and we're able to see that there was a difference in over a couple years that these gyroscopes were off, and that confirmed Einstein's theory that there is such a thing as space-time, and that mass, that there's a curvature within space-time formed by mass, especially a rotating mass, and you can harness that energy. And that's what Dr. David Lewis Anderson, as well as some of his colleagues, have been able to do, is they've been able to harness the energy from the curvature in space-time from the Earth and tap into that and create a time warp field generator in which they can control and manipulate time within that field. Their recent generation, third generation, they've been able to revert things back in time, but the field ends up collapsing on itself, and gamma radiation destroys whatever's inside the field. But they have been able to start to go backwards in time, and they're working with other countries, Japan and especially India, to continue research, and even within the U.S. government a little bit. So it's exciting stuff, and I encourage everyone to every one of you to look into this subject and form your own opinions and maybe theories about it. And I also encourage you to go out and ask your friends and your family, what is time? Because they probably don't really know. Thank you.